Hello and welcome back. Or if this is your very first episode with us, welcome. You found the right place. Because today we are talking about something that is both incredibly practical and surprisingly emotional: finding a home, renting an apartment in America as an immigrant.
And I want to say something right at the start. The word home is not a small word. It carries so much: safety, stability, the feeling of having a place that is yours, a place where you can close the door and breathe out. And for many immigrants, finding that place in a new country is one of the most meaningful milestones of the whole journey.
One of the most meaningful, and also, if we are being honest, one of the most stressful, because the American rental system has its own language, its own rules, its own requirements, and many of those things were not explained to you when you arrived.
Nobody gave you the manual, so today, we're the manual. We are going to walk through the entire process, from searching for an apartment to the application to the lease to moving in, with real vocabulary, real phrases, real role-play conversations, and real talk about the challenges that immigrants specifically face and how to navigate them.
We did an earlier episode in this series that touched on rental life, basic phrases, security deposits, talking to landlords. Today, we go much deeper. This is the full guide.
The full guide. Okay, before we begin, how are you doing today? Full sentence as always. I feel overwhelmed today because I'm apartment hunting and I don't know where to start. Or, I feel hopeful today because I finally have a stable enough income to start looking for my own place.
Both of those are real and both of those are welcome here. And today's comment challenge? I'm your name from your country, and today I feel emotion because reason. We read everyone, every single one. Now, let's find you a home.
Today's episode is how to rent an apartment in the USA as an immigrant. And I want to be clear about the scope. This is not a quick overview. We are going step by step through the real process, in the order it actually happens. So whether you're about to start looking or you're in the middle of it right now, this episode will meet you where you are.
And I want to name something early. The American rental system can feel designed to keep certain people out. Credit history requirements, income requirements, reference requirements, documentation requirements. These barriers are real, and they fall harder on immigrants than on people who were born here and have been building their American paper trail for years.
Paper trail, a record of documents and transactions that prove your history. Credit history, bank statements, employment history, rental history. These together form your paper trail. When you're new to America, your paper trail is thin, not because you haven't been responsible, because you haven't been here long enough to build it.
Thin, not enough, lacking depth or substance. Her application was rejected because her credit history was too thin. A thin paper trail doesn't mean you're a bad tenant. It means you're new. And today, we're going to talk about how to compensate for that, how to be taken seriously even when your American history is short.
This episode is B1 level. Clear, real, warm. Everything explained. Let's go.
Let's start before you even begin searching. Before you open any app or website, you need to know what you're looking for. And in America, the options are wider and more varied than in many other countries.
Types of rental housing. Studio apartment, one room that serves as living room, bedroom, and sometimes dining room, usually the smallest and least expensive option. A kitchenette, a small kitchen area, may be included. I rented a studio when I first arrived. It was tiny, but it was mine.
One-bedroom apartment, a separate bedroom, a living area, a kitchen, and a bathroom. The most common rental choice for individuals and couples.
Two-bedroom or three-bedroom apartment for families or people who want roommates. Splitting a two-bedroom with a roommate is one of the most common ways people afford expensive cities.
Roommate, someone who shares a living space and splits the cost with you. I found a roommate on Craigslist and we split the rent 50-50. For many immigrants, starting with a roommate situation, renting a room in a shared house or apartment, is the most affordable entry point, and it has social benefits too. You are not alone in a new place.
Single-family home, a full house rented from a private landlord. More space, usually more expensive, more privacy, common in suburbs and smaller cities.
Basement apartment, an apartment below ground level, usually cheaper, less natural light, can be perfectly comfortable or not depending on the specific unit. Always inspect a basement apartment in daylight before signing anything.
And then there are apartment complexes, large buildings with many units managed by a professional property management company. These tend to have more structured application processes, formal requirements, online portals, standard lease agreements, and often have amenities like gyms, parking, and laundry facilities.
Amenities, extra features or facilities that make a place more comfortable or attractive. The building has amenities including a rooftop terrace, a gym, and an on-site laundry room. Amenities often come with a higher rent. Decide which ones matter to you and which you can live without.
And before you start looking, do the math. The general rule in America is that your monthly rent should not exceed 30% of your gross monthly income. If you earn $3,000 a month before taxes, your rent should ideally be $900 or less. This is called the 30% rule.
30% rule, the widely used guideline that housing costs should be no more than 30% of your gross income. She followed the 30% rule and kept her rent under $1,000 a month.
Okay, you know what you need and what you can afford. Where do you actually find listings?
The most commonly used rental websites and apps in America right now: Zillow, Apartments.com, Realtor.com, Craigslist for private listings, often without a broker fee, Facebook Marketplace for direct landlord listings and room rentals, and Zumper. For room rentals specifically, Spare Room and Roomies are popular.
Broker fee, a fee charged by a real estate broker or agent who helped find the apartment. In some cities, especially New York, brokers charge 1 month's rent or more as a fee just for finding the place. It's added on top of your deposit. Not all rentals involve brokers. When searching, look for no-fee listings if you want to avoid this extra cost.
No-fee listing, a rental advertisement where no broker fee is required. I specifically searched for no-fee apartments to avoid paying extra upfront. The words to look for in listings: no fee, owner renting, by owner, or direct from landlord. These usually mean no broker is involved.
And don't underestimate community resources. Your cultural community organizations, local churches, neighborhood Facebook groups, coworker networks, these informal channels can lead to apartments that never appear online. A landlord who knows someone who knows you is often more willing to be flexible on documentation than a large management company.
Word of mouth. Information spread informally from person to person. She found her apartment through word of mouth. A colleague mentioned his neighbor was moving out. In tight-knit immigrant communities, word of mouth is often the most powerful housing search tool. Use your network. Tell people you are looking.
When you find a listing that interests you, read it carefully. Key things to look for: the monthly rent, whether utilities are included or separate, the required lease length, usually 12 months, sometimes 6, sometimes month to month, pet policy, parking availability and cost, laundry, in-unit, in-building, or at a laundromat, and the neighborhood. Check the commute time to work, the nearest grocery store, public transportation access.
Month to month, a rental arrangement with no fixed end date. Either party can end it with 30 days notice. More flexible than a fixed lease, but often more expensive per month. I started with the month-to-month lease while I got settled, then signed a year when I was more certain about the area.
You found a place you like, you tour it, you want to apply. What does the application ask for, and what are the challenges for immigrants?
A typical application in America asks for your full legal name and current address, your employment information, employer name, address, your position, and your income, your rental history, previous addresses and landlord contact information, personal references, your social security number or ITIN for the credit check, and a government-issued photo ID.
Credit check, when a landlord pulls your credit report to see your payment history and credit score. We talked about credit scores in our bank account episode. Most landlords want to see a score above 620. Some require higher. For immigrants with limited credit history, this is often the first major obstacle.
Obstacle: something that blocks your path or makes progress difficult. A lack of credit history was the biggest obstacle in her apartment search. Knowing your obstacles in advance means you can prepare strategies to address them.
And income verification. The landlord wants to know you can afford the rent. The standard requirement is that your monthly income is at least 2 to 3 times the monthly rent. So for a $1,500 apartment, they want to see income of at least $300 to $4,500 per month.
Income verification: proof that you earn what you say you earn. Common documents: recent pay stubs, a letter from your employer confirming your salary, recent bank statements showing consistent deposits, or tax returns.
And the application fee. Most landlords charge a fee just to apply, usually $25 to $100. Non-refundable, meaning you don't get it back even if you're rejected. Be selective about which places you apply to. Don't apply to 10 at once unless you're serious about all of them.
Non-refundable: cannot be returned. The application fee is non-refundable. The security deposit is refundable if you leave the apartment in good condition. Understanding what is and isn't refundable is very important in the rental process.
Let's talk directly about the walls immigrants often hit, because there are several, and each one has a way around it.
Challenge 1: no credit history or thin credit. Solution: offer to pay more upfront. Several months of rent in advance, 2 months, 3 months, shows financial security without relying on a credit score. Not all landlords will accept this, but many private landlords will consider it.
Another solution: a cosigner. A cosigner is someone who signs the lease with you and agrees to be financially responsible if you cannot pay. Ideally, someone with good American credit, a close friend, a colleague, a family member who has been here longer. My coworker offered to co-sign my first lease. It made all the difference.
Cosigner: a person who adds their name and credit history to your application as a guarantee. Without a cosigner, the landlord wouldn't have approved me. It requires real trust. The cosigner is taking a financial risk for you. If you ask someone to do this, honor that trust completely.
Another solution: bring extra documentation. Bank statements showing healthy savings, international credit reference letters. Some landlords accept credit history from other countries if you can provide documentation. A letter from your employer confirming your position, salary, and employment stability. The goal is to replace the missing credit history with other evidence of reliability.
Challenge 2: no rental history in the U.S. You've never rented in America before, so you can't provide American landlord references. Solution: use international rental references with contact information. Provide a letter from your previous landlord in your home country, translated if necessary, or reference letters from your employers, teachers, community leaders, or religious leaders who can speak to your character and reliability.
Character reference: a letter or statement from someone who knows you and can speak to your honesty, reliability, and good conduct. She provided 3 character references from community leaders who had known her for years. A strong character reference from the right person can carry real weight with a private landlord.
Challenge 3: documentation status. Some landlords require a social security number. Others accept an ITIN. Some private landlords may not ask at all. The strategy here is to focus your search on landlords who have rented to immigrants before. Community-referred landlords, landlords in immigrant-dense neighborhoods, and smaller private landlords who have more flexibility than large management companies.
Immigrant-dense, an area with a high concentration of immigrant residents. In these neighborhoods, landlords are more accustomed to non-traditional applications and often more flexible. Your community network can often point you toward these landlords specifically.
Challenge 4: language barriers during tours and negotiations. The solution is preparation, which is what this entire episode is. Knowing the vocabulary before you walk in, having key questions written down, bringing a bilingual friend if possible, and never being afraid to say, Could you write that down for me, please? Or, I want to make sure I understand this correctly. Could you explain it one more time? You have the right to understand everything in a lease before you sign it. Every clause, every term. Take it home if you need to. Read it with a dictionary. Ask a trusted friend. Never sign something you haven't understood. You're approved for a tour or a viewing. You walk into the apartment. What are you looking for? What should you check?
First, the basics. Look at the walls, ceilings, and floors. Water stains on the ceiling or walls indicate past or present leaks. Cracks in the walls can be cosmetic or structural. If they're wide or around windows and doors, ask. Check under sinks for moisture or mold.
Mold, a type of fungus that grows in damp conditions. Dark spots, often black or green, on walls, ceilings, or under sinks. Mold can cause serious health problems. The bathroom had visible mold. I did not apply for that apartment. If you see mold, walk away, or at minimum, ask the landlord how they plan to treat it before you move in.
Check the windows. Do they open and close properly? Are they drafty, meaning cold air comes through even when closed? Check the heating and cooling systems. Turn on the taps and check water pressure. Flush the toilet. Turn on the stove. Check the outlets.
These are not small things. You are going to live here. You need to know that the basics work. A good landlord will not be offended by these checks. A landlord who gets defensive when you test the faucet is showing you something important about how they handle maintenance issues.
And check the neighborhood at different times of day if possible. An area can feel quiet and peaceful at 10 in the morning, but very different at 10 at night. Check the noise levels. Check proximity to the things you need. Grocery stores, public transit, your workplace.
Proximity. How close something is. I loved the proximity to the subway. It was a 5-minute walk. The proximity to a good grocery store was important to me. Knowing what proximity matters to your daily life helps you evaluate apartments beyond just the 4 walls.
Key questions to ask during the tour. What is included in the rent? Utilities, parking, storage? What is the average monthly utility cost for this unit? How is maintenance handled? Who do I contact if something breaks? What is the policy on renewing the lease? Has there been any pest activity? Mice, cockroaches, bed bugs in the building recently?
Pest, an unwanted insect or animal. Mice, cockroaches, bedbugs. These are the most common pests in American urban apartments. The building has a pest control service. Have there been any pest issues recently? This question is completely acceptable to ask. A good landlord will answer honestly. A dishonest one may minimize the problem, which is why you also check reviews of the building online if possible.
And write everything down. After the tour, make notes. What you liked, what concerned you, what the landlord said about utilities, maintenance, renewal. Memory is imperfect. Notes protect you.
The lease. The lease is the legal contract between you and your landlord. It is the single most important document in the rental process, and it must be read fully, carefully before you sign.
A standard American lease is usually several pages long. It covers the names of all tenants, the property address, the lease term, start date and end date, the monthly rent amount, the due date for rent, usually the first of the month, the grace period, the number of days after the due date before a late fee is charged.
Grace period. A short window of time after a deadline when something can still be done without penalty. The lease has a 5-day grace period. Rent is due the 1st, but you won't be charged a late fee until the 6th. Know your grace period. Life happens. A grace period gives you a small cushion.
The lease also covers the security deposit amount and conditions for its return, pet policy and any pet deposits, guest policy, how long guests can stay before they must be added to the lease, noise policies, smoking policies, rules about modifications to the apartment, painting, installing shelves, hanging things.
and the termination clause. What happens if you need to leave before the lease ends? In most standard leases, leaving early means you owe rent for the remaining months unless the landlord finds a new tenant. Some leases include an early termination fee, a specific dollar amount you pay to end the lease before its natural end date.
Early termination fee, a penalty charged when a tenant ends the lease before the agreed end date. The early termination fee was 2 months' rent. Know this number before you sign. Life is unpredictable. Job changes, family emergencies, opportunities in other cities. If you think there's any chance you might need to move before the year is up, this clause matters.
And addendums, extra documents added to the lease that contain additional rules or agreements. The building has an addendum about parking and another about the rooftop access policy. Addendums are legally part of the lease. Read them too. Addendum, a document added to a main document with additional terms or information. Plural, addenda or addendums. Please read all addenda before signing. Not all leases have them, but when they do, they matter.
And now, a practical phrase when you need time to read the lease. Thank you for sending this over. I'd like to take a day or two to review it carefully before signing. I'll get back to you by specific date. That is a professional, reasonable request. Any landlord who refuses to give you time to read a legal contract before signing is showing you something about how they operate. A trustworthy landlord will say, "Of course, take your time."
Let's practice some real conversations, the situations you will actually find yourself in once you have an apartment.
Situation 1. Reporting a maintenance issue. Something in the apartment is broken. You need to tell the landlord.
Hi, this is your name from apartment 4B. I'm calling because there seems to be a leak under my bathroom sink. I noticed water pooling on the floor this morning. Could someone come to look at it? I'm available any weekday after 5 p.m.
Key elements. Identify yourself and your unit. Describe the problem specifically. State when you noticed it. Offer your availability. Clean, clear, professional. And always follow up a phone call with a written message, text, or email so there is a record.
Record, a written or documented account of something. I always follow up maintenance requests in writing so there's a record. In disputes with landlords, written records are your most important protection. I sent an email on March 12th reporting the leak is much stronger than I called but I don't remember when.
Situation 2. Disputing a charge or problem before moving out.
Hi, I'm moving out at the end of the month as agreed. I wanted to do a walkthrough with you before I leave to document the condition of the apartment together. Is there a time that works for you?
Walkthrough. A physical inspection of a space. We did a walkthrough of the apartment together before I returned the keys. A joint walkthrough before move-out is one of the most important things you can do to protect your security deposit. When the landlord and tenant walk through together and agree on the condition, it's much harder for the landlord to charge you for things you didn't damage.
Document the condition. Take photos and videos of every room, every wall, every fixture. Do this when you move in as well as when you move out. If there's a scratch on the wall when you arrive, photograph it immediately. Otherwise, when you leave, the landlord might claim you made it.
Situation 3. Renewing or ending a lease.
Hi, my lease ends on June 30th. I wanted to let you know that I'm planning to renew for another year if the terms remain the same. Could we discuss what the renewal terms would be?
This conversation should happen 30 to 60 days before the lease ends. Give enough notice. Ask about the renewal terms early because sometimes landlords increase rent at renewal. If the increase feels unreasonable, this is your moment to negotiate using the same skills we talked about in the raise episode. Market data, professional tone, a specific counteroffer.
Renewal terms, the conditions of a new lease period. The renewal terms included a 5% rent increase. You are not obligated to accept renewal terms without discussion. You can negotiate. You can ask for the increase to be lower. You can ask for improvements to the apartment as a condition of renewing. Politely, professionally, but you can ask.
And if you decide to leave, give written notice within the time required by your lease, usually 30 days, sometimes 60. The notice should include your name, unit number, and the date you plan to vacate.
Vacate, to leave and empty a property. I plan to vacate the apartment on June 30th. Please provide 30 days written notice before vacating. It's a formal word that appears in lease documents. In everyday speech, you can say move out, but in written correspondence, vacate is the professional term.
Before we close this chapter, you have rights as a tenant, as an immigrant, as a renter. These rights exist whether or not you know about them, but knowing them gives you the power to use them.
Right 1. The right to a habitable apartment. Habitable means safe and livable. A landlord must maintain the property in a condition that is safe for human habitation. Heat in winter, hot water, a roof that doesn't leak, working smoke detectors, no severe mold, no dangerous structural problems. If your landlord fails to maintain habitability, you have legal recourse.
Habitable. Suitable for people to live in, safe, functional in meeting basic health and safety standards. Every tenant has the right to a habitable living space. Recourse. Options available to address a wrong. If the landlord refuses to fix the heat, you have legal recourse. Knowing you have recourse, even if you never need to use it, changes how you stand in the relationship.
Right 2. The right to privacy. A landlord generally cannot enter your apartment without notice. In most states, they must give 24 to 48 hours written notice before entering, except in emergencies. The landlord called to say they needed to come in Friday for an inspection. They sent written notice on Wednesday. That is correct procedure. A landlord who walks in without notice is violating your privacy rights.
Right 3. The right to your security deposit back. If you leave the apartment in the same condition as when you arrived, normal wear and tear is allowed. The landlord must return your deposit within a set number of days after you move out. This varies by state, but is usually 14 to 30 days.
Wear and tear. The normal, gradual damage that comes from regular use over time. A small scuff on a wall, slightly worn carpet, a loose door hinge. These are normal wear and tear, and a landlord cannot charge you for them. What they can charge for, a large hole in the wall, broken fixtures, burns or stains you caused, major damage beyond normal use.
In Right 4, the right to be free from discrimination. The Federal Fair Housing Act prohibits landlords from discriminating based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, or disability. Discriminating against you because you are an immigrant or because of where you're from is illegal.
If you believe you have been discriminated against in housing, document everything. Save all written communications, make notes with dates and times of verbal interactions. You can file a complaint with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, or contact a local fair housing organization.
Discriminate, to treat someone unfairly because of who they are. The landlord discriminated against her because of her national origin. Fair housing laws exist to protect everyone from this. Use them if you need to.
Okay, word tour. We are slowing all the way down now. Take a breath, let these words settle.
One at a time, nice and easy.
Word 1, paper trail. A record of documents that prove your history, credit, rental, employment. As a new immigrant, my paper trail was thin, but I brought extra bank statements to compensate.
Word 2, amenities. Extra features or facilities that make a living space more comfortable. The apartment had great amenities, a gym, rooftop, and in-unit laundry.
Word 3. 30% rule. The guideline that housing costs should be no more than 30% of your gross monthly income. I followed the 30% rule and kept my rent search under $900.
Word 4. Broker fee. A fee charged by a real estate agent for finding the rental. Can be 1 month's rent or more. I specifically searched for no-fee apartments to avoid paying a broker fee on top of the deposit.
Word 5. Cosigner. A person who signs the lease with you and guarantees your rent if you cannot pay. My manager offered to co-sign my first lease. It made the whole application possible.
Word 6. Character reference. A letter from someone who knows you and can speak to your reliability in good conduct. I provided 3 character references from community leaders since I had no U.S. rental history.
Word 7. Grace period. A short window of time after a deadline when something can be done without penalty. Example: the lease has a 5-day grace period before a late fee is charged. Word 8. Early termination fee. A penalty for ending a lease before its agreed end date. Example: I had to pay 2 months' rent as an early termination fee when I moved for a new job. Word 9. Addendum. An additional document attached to the main lease with extra terms or rules. Example: I read the parking addendum carefully before signing. It had important restrictions. Word 10. Walkthrough. A physical inspection of a property, usually done together with a landlord. Example: we did a move-out walkthrough together, so there were no surprises about the deposit.
Word 11. Habitable. Safe and suitable for people to live in, meeting basic health and safety standards. Example: every tenant has the legal right to a habitable apartment with heat, hot water, and no mold. Word 12. Wear and tear. The normal, gradual damage from everyday use over time. Landlords cannot charge you for this. Example: the small scuffs on the floor were just normal wear and tear, not something I had to pay for. Word 13. Vacate. To leave and empty a property. The formal term for moving out. Example: I gave 30 days written notice that I planned to vacate on the last day of the month. Word 14. Discriminate. To treat someone unfairly based on who they are, race, nationality, religion, and more. Example: it is illegal for a landlord to discriminate based on national origin. Know your rights.
14 words today, our most complete word tour yet, because finding a home deserves a full vocabulary.
Pick one, just one. Make a sentence from your own life, say it out loud, or write it below. That sentence is yours now. That was our episode. How to rent an apartment in the USA as an immigrant. From knowing what you need, to finding listings, to the application, to overcoming the specific barriers immigrants face, to the tour, to the lease, to your ongoing rights as a tenant.
We covered it all, and I want to say, I know how big this is. Finding a place that is yours, where you close the door and the world outside gets quiet for a moment, where you can hang something on the wall that means something to you, where you can cook food that smells like home. That space, that home, you deserve it.
You deserve it. And the barriers that get in the way, the credit checks and the paper trails and the documentation requirements, they are real. They are frustrating. They are not fair for people who are new here through no fault of their own. But they can be navigated with preparation, with community, with the right words.
With the right words. And now you have more of them.
You are part of this cozy club. No rental history required for membership. Just show up, listen, try. And when you find that apartment, when you turn that key for the first time, think of us, because we were rooting for you every step of the way.
Every single step. One small step at a time. Maybe today's step is researching the market rate for apartments in your neighborhood. Maybe it's looking up what a cosigner could mean for your application. Maybe it's just saying out loud, I deserve a safe, warm, stable place to live. All of those steps matter.
All of them. Leave us your comment. I'm name from place, and today I feel emotion because reason. Like this episode, subscribe, and please share it with someone who is apartment hunting right now and feeling lost in the process.
You might be the reason they find their home.
What a beautiful thing that would be.
This is Sophie.
And Jamie.
And you are always, always welcome here. Go find your home. We are cheering for you loudly and with our whole hearts.